Hey guys, Ninetail Gaming's here. Welcome back, Foxes and Gamers. Right here I have my friend convicted pedophile Melt Me too.
What's up, guys?
He's intimidating me. Either way, today we will be discussing the worst to the best of the mainline Pokemon games. So, the worst Pokemon game, in our collective opinion, is Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. It's still a fun game. Melt Me 2 hasn't played it. It was fun. I just wish that you could actually battle wild Pokemon. It would still keep the same catching mechanic. It would just be better if you could do that to gain experience instead of the candies.
Next we have Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Um, we're not saying they're unenjoyable games, but just in general, they're a bit weak in terms of the series, and their difficulty level is pretty low.
Uh, then we have Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Uh, we found that it's good mainly because it continues the story of Pokemon Red, Blue, and arguably Yellow. But we find that a lot of the mechanics are outdated. Personally, I have issue with how HMs seem to be randomly assigned, and also the biggest factor, which does impact the remakes, is that Johto Pokemon who are supposed to be new can only be found in Kanto, which I find makes no sense.
Next, we got Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I personally haven't played them, but they're pretty new, so it's hard to tell how they really fit into the whole thing. But they have really good starters, um, and the gym battles are good, and Pokemon designs are actually stronger than they have been in the past. So yeah.
Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, for some reason, a large amount of people are stating that they don't like it. I thought it was good. I enjoyed the fact that it was kind of like Pokemon Emerald and the fact that it had the whole Delta series and Deoxys, which really surprised me because of how it was a mythical Pokemon before, or an event Pokemon. Um, it's just revamps the original. Also, shiny hunting is pretty good in it, and to leave off, it includes something that I like in most of the Pokemon games, which is a large pool of legendaries to catch with the whole floating rings and all. So, yeah.
Next, we have Pokemon X and Y, which it's bumped up a little bit because it's the first 3D Pokemon game in the series we've gotten. It's got a good dose of nostalgia. Legendary designs were really good, I'd say, in my opinion. Some people would beg to differ, but they're pretty good. They had a lot of good gym battles. New Fairy type was a really good addition, and the starters, I think everyone can agree, were really good. Especially coming in at a time when the Pokemon designs were going down in quality.
Next is Pokemon Black and White. Pokemon Black and White originally did not have a very great reception, probably because people were still holding on to the fact that they couldn't catch any of the older Pokemon in the main story, but I personally find that to be its greatest strength because it sort of separates itself from everything else and allows you to try out all kinds of different Pokemon. As well, the story was very great. It introduced one of the most uh, well flushed out characters in this entire series, N. And yeah, it also had the whole moving sprites. And personally, if they didn't make the games 3D, I would not mind the way they dealt with these games.
Next, we have Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, and they might be the less impressive of the two third generation games, but they introduced the whole remake idea, and they were really good overall. They really brought back that feeling of nostalgia from Generation 1 and brought back all the Pokemon we love in a much better style, basically. And there were a few additions in terms of sprites and stuff. Uh, and it was a really good. It was really good.
Next up is Pokemon Emerald, the enhanced version for Ruby and Sapphire. Uh, Personally, I didn't play much of Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Occasionally, I'll play them, but I don't think I've ever actually played them all the way through. But what I do know is that Rayquaza is very cool, and that I like the way how instead of either of the teams battling you, it's both of them.
Here we decided to put Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. Obviously, the first Pokemon games to come out, they may have a lot of technical issues, but they're still really fun. Going back to play them, no matter how many times you've played through them, is always fun. And I'd argue they have some of the best Pokemon designs in the game, although the sprites could be improved.
Next up is Pokemon Platinum. Pokemon Platinum is much better than Diamond and Pearl for many reasons. The top one, in my opinion, would be the fact that there are more options for fire types. When it came to Diamond and Pearl, the only choices you had was you either chose Chimchar or you got Ponyta. And Rapidash is fine, but it's not great. In this, you have access to both Magmar and Houndoom, which are very strong fire types. Another thing is that I find that this game was the last game in the series so far that was not quite as linear. You could choose to do quite a few of the gyms in any order that you wanted, depending on how challenging you wanted it to be. Also, Giratina is quite a great Pokemon. I enjoyed both of his forms. And that is all for Pokemon Platinum.
Pretty high up here on the list, we have Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. They're a big improvement over Black 1 and White 1, in my opinion. I do prefer the main character designs in Black and White 1, but Black and White 2 improved their sprites, the overall look, and there's a lot more to do in the game. You'll get a lot more hours logged in, and the story is really good, just like the first ones.
So, number one here is Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. These are the greatest Pokemon games. They include the Pokewalker, which isn't even a part of the game. You don't need it at all, but it was a great little extra thing, you know. It's like a little Tamagotchi that would help you in game by finding certain items or difficult to find Pokemon. This game included the Pokemon following you feature that would not end up returning into Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Now, what makes this better than that is the fact that it included all of the Pokemon up to that point and all of their forms you could have follow you. I really enjoyed the Evil Team. They stepped it up from the original Gold and Silver and actually gave names to the Team Rocket executives, so it wasn't just like random people going in. They had actual characters. I enjoyed the whole all the events. Uh, Even though I haven't been able to play it, the Sinjo Ruins event is one of the most surreal things I've ever seen in a Pokemon game. One event that I did get to participate in was the Celebi time traveling event, which I found to be very great. Obviously, there's the whole Kanto, which is great, but it if you include Kanto, then what's the point in even liking this? I found that the music was great. The updated designs were really good and iconic. And my only real gripe is really just any of the ones that were in the original Gold and Silver, such as Johto Pokemon being in weird places. Uh, Also, the fact that this was in Gen 4 does sort of help a lot because, for example, in Gold and Silver, Heracross was near useless, only knowing Reversal and Counter as its fighting type moves. But in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Heracross gets access to Break Break and Close Combat, which it's very good. Also, Whitney's Miltank is much stronger in this. It can attack ghost types with normal moves. And with that, this is the end. Um, See you next time. Download my Patreon. Pay me $50 a week. That sounds fair enough. Well, what I'm giving you is priceless. And I'm giving you a very cheap price.
Make sure to check out the second part of the collaboration on meltme2/youtube.com.
We will be showing the worst to best protagonists in the Pokemon games, and maybe sometime soon each of us will make our own favorite Pokemon lists. So with that, see ya, subscribe, I don't know, come to my house and give me a kiss on the cheek, whatever you want. Just don't leave me, please.